Welcome to Dodgers Daily. I'm Casey Porter. I'm so glad you decided to tune in. Fans, we have a busy show for you today. We're going to cover all the highlights from Sunday's action in the minor leagues in the Dodgers system in this show. I did not include them in yesterday's show because the series with Los Angeles and San Diego was so fun over the weekend. I wanted to dedicate an entire show to that and go a little bit longer talking about LA, knowing that you have the scheduled off day on Mondays for the minor leaguers. So I could just throw those highlights into the Tuesday show, and away we go. So we're going to do that in today's show, and then we're also going to talk about a hangover performance for the Dodgers last night and a rant coming on the other side of the break about Sunday Night Baseball, so stay tuned for that. But before we get into all that, just a reminder, we do now have the ability to help Dodgers Daily by donating. We have a GoFundMe account, and we have the link in the description. Also, if you like this video, and if you like this kind of content, go ahead and click that like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily, and become a subscriber. And after you subscribe, click that notification bell, turn on notifications. That way, every time Dodgers Daily releases a new video, you'll be notified and you won't miss a thing. Dodgers Daily will keep growing, and we can keep doing what we love, which is providing video and content like this in the future. Okay, the Dodgers lose last night to the Brewers. It was just a flat performance. It was to be expected. You know, the Sunday Night Baseball deal is just, in my opinion, a really difficult situation for the Dodgers, and you know, in this last scenario, and we're going to get into that on the other side of the break. And then, like I said, you know, that all the affiliates were in action on Sunday, so there's good action there. But hey, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to it, and let's talk Dodgers baseball. So the Dodgers Sunday Night Baseball, San Diego Padres, Los Angeles Dodgers, charged environment. It's like a playoff atmosphere all weekend long. The Dodgers have the big win on Sunday night, and how are they rewarded with that? Well, they got to hop on a plane. They got to go 2 time zones east, and going east is worse than going west because you're actually losing time. You know, if you go from, say, the East Coast or even Central Time, which is where Milwaukee is at, and you go west, you're actually gaining time, so you're having those 2 extra hours. You know, if it's 3 o'clock in Central Time, then it's 1 o'clock Pacific Time, so you're gaining hours. Now, you do that backwards. You send Los Angeles from the West Coast to Milwaukee, you're jumping 2 time zones. So not only is it a quick turnaround, okay, having the night game that nobody else had as far as, you know, other than San Diego, because you're the only 2 teams that played on Sunday night. You know, not only do you have the night game, which is a quick turnaround anyways, you have to jump 2 time zones. You know, I know Milwaukee was also in San Francisco. They jumped 2 time zones too, but they didn't have the night game. They didn't have a playoff atmosphere like it was at Petco Park. They didn't get into their hotel room at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it wasn't scheduled for all that to happen. And also, you know, you go from that playoff environment that was just cram-packed all weekend. Congratulations to the San Diego fans. You know, it is a fun rivalry. We like to go back and forth. But, hey, I'll tell you what, I don't think, you know, any Dodgers fans could say that this last weekend wasn't a heck of a lot of fun to watch. And a lot of that is because the San Diego fans, they've just really started supporting this team. They cram-packed that Petco Park and made for a wonderful environment. So you go from that, and then you get into your hotel room 3 o'clock in the morning. You wake up, you know, you sleep fast, and then you get into an environment with 22,000 people in it. You know, well, no wonder the Dodgers offense was flat. And hey, let me explain something about my mentality. I am not one to make excuses, okay? Hey, you got to play the game, go play the game. This was a loss due to scheduling, though. I mean, this was just absolutely, and I know these guys are professionals, and I even mentioned it on my last show that, hey, they're professionals. You know, they won't let this hang over to the next day, but my goodness, you know, you get into your hotel room at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're coming off this big high, you're in front of 22,000 people at Milwaukee, and, you know, the only way really the Dodgers were going to win that game was if their pitching just threw up blanks for about 7 innings until the offense woke up, kind of like they did, you know, with a couple of runs late, and then you won like 2-1 or maybe 3-2, something like that, because this was a game that was just set up for the Dodgers to be flat. So in my opinion, you know, hey, good for ESPN. They made a lot of money off the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Diego Padres, which I guess is good for Los Angeles too, because that lines the pockets of all the major league teams when ESPN signs the paychecks for the TV contracts and all that. So I guess that part of it's good, but the baseball part of it, that was bad. That's just a bad scenario, bad situation from a player personnel perspective. There is every reason for the Dodgers to have been hungover last night and to be flat just the way that they were. Having said that, it's the major leagues. You got to figure out a way to deal with that and overcome it. But having said that, also, like I said, I don't normally make excuses. I am making excuses right now, and I'll stick by it just for the simple fact that these are major league teams, man. You just can't. It's just, in my opinion, giving one team that type of huge advantage over the other just shouldn't happen in scheduling. And I understand trying to schedule all these teams 162 games, making it as fair as you possibly can. I understand all of that, but I'm frustrated with the fact that, hey, every game might matter for the Dodgers this year. They won the division with 111 wins last year. That's more than likely not going to happen this year. This thing might come down to one game, so scheduling a game that's going to put you at odds of winning, of not winning like yesterday, very frustrating for me. So, hey, I'm going to go ahead and end my Sunday night rant on that. I just don't think it was fair to, hey, just because the Dodgers are good and they're going to play more on Sunday Night Baseball than bad teams, they shouldn't be at a disadvantage because of that. Now, hey, if you want to put them on, say, Sunday Night Baseball in Milwaukee or Chicago on a Sunday night, then move them west where they're actually gaining time, and then they're actually going back home to play, that's one thing. But to lose 2 hours and then to go on the road and do all of that after a huge series. And then there's another thing. It's one thing if you're playing, every game's big, don't get me wrong, but if you're playing, just another team in the major leagues that doesn't mean the same amount as, say, the Padres or the Giants, that's another thing too. You're coming off just a huge emotional weekend against the Padres. You're losing 2 hours. You're on the road, and then there's 22,000 people there in Milwaukee. I mean, yeah, you're flat. Absolutely, you're flat, and there's every reason to be flat, and for that reason, I'm making excuses, which I don't normally do, but hey, I guess that's what I'm doing right now because I'm probably making myself feel better just by ranting at this point. So I said I was going to be quiet about Sunday Night Baseball. I went on for about another 3 minutes, so I promise right now I will actually do that and move on to something actually baseball related on the field. So let's talk about Tonygonsolin. He went 6 innings. Okay, he gave up 3 runs, had 6 walks, and no strikeouts. If you look at all the peripherals, the whiff rates, the pitch selection, hey, what pitch did he throw here? The exit velos as far as how hard did Milwaukee hit him. If you look at all the peripheral stats, they were exactly right on point with what his averages were. So pretty much the Tonygonsolin that you saw on Monday night, that's the Tonygonsolin that you've gotten just about every time out. Like I said, all the peripheral stats were pretty much on point with who he has been in the past. So 6 innings, 3 runs scored, and then Philbickford came in. Okay, there's a topic right there. Philbickford, I looked on Spot Track. Hey, don't, in the comments, don't hesitate to correct me if I'm wrong here, but Spot Track had him with 0 waiver options, which means he is not eligible to be sent down to the minor leagues. If you did so, you'd have to DFA him, let him go through waivers, and then only if he cleared waivers could you send him and reassign him back down to minor league AAA Oklahoma City. So just sending him down to the minor leagues as far as a minor league option goes, that's not an option. There's a process to it before. But where are you at on Philbickford? Okay, he gave up 4 runs in a third of an inning, okay? And like I said, he's kind of been up and down this season. He was really good a couple years ago, and I know, that Alexvesia, of course, we're going to get into Vesia here in a minute, he got sent back down to the minors, and I don't mean this as a criticism, just, hey, going back down and refining what's always made you good is not always a bad thing. And to be honest with you, hey, the Dodgers, they have guys that can fill that spot. They, if you want to monitor that and say, hey, what are we going to do with their bullpen? They've already, they dealt with the alexvesia deal, and they sent him back down to refine his game, which I think alexvesia is going to come back strong. You got guys like Nick Robertson who, have just been absolutely fantastic. Of course, you brought up wandersuero just this last week, and Suero yesterday, gave up 2 runs, and Suero had been really good in Oklahoma City. So I understand, hey, the minor league guys don't always, come out and come up and light the world on fire. But curious, what are your comments on Philbickford? Okay, what do the Dodgers need to do with him? Again, 4 runs in just 1/3 of an inning yesterday. Kind of been that up and down guy. We've seen flashes of the potential. We've seen in the past that he can be very effective in the bullpen. So, from that perspective, the Dodgers have seen it with their own eyes, and they trust that. But what do you do with him? What do you do with wandersuero? Hey, Nick Robertson is just sitting right there in the wings. He's throwing really well with AAA Oklahoma City. His ERA is 3.07. Okay, his whip is below 1 at 0.95. And check this out. He has 24 strikeouts and 14 2/3 innings. So Nick Robertson stuff has been big. And not only does he have the 24 strikeouts, he only has 2 walks. So at the very least, Nick Robertson, if you brought him up, of course, you'd have to put him on the 40-man. You'd have to designate somebody for assignment. You'd have to clear that spot. If you brought him up, at the very least, you would know you'd be bringing up somebody who strikes a lot of guys out and then makes the other team beat you by putting the ball in play, because he has not walked people to this point in the season. And just ask Mookie Betts what his fastball is like. Mookie Betts will tell you it is very, very, very deceptive. As a matter of fact, he told Rob Hill, the director of minor league coordinator for pitching in the Dodgers system, while he was taking live BP off of Robertson in spring training. So, hey, there are options. At Justin Brule's another option that you can bring back up. He's been up and down, up and down. He's still, when you have those options left and you're a reliever, you're going to be on that. You're going to be on that up and down train, which Justin Brule is on right now. So, hey, Philbickford, wandersuero, comments. What do you think the Dodgers should do about those two? We always have wonderful comments here on Dodgers Daily. Always very constructive, very thoughtful, very insightful. So, hey, leave me a comment about those two. What would you do with them? Okay, having said that, going on my Sunday night baseball rant, talking about Philbickford giving up the 4 runs, wandersuero giving up the 2 runs. This game came down to hitting with runners in scoring position. Okay, how about this? The Brewers were 4 for 6 with runners in scoring position. The Dodgers, big old donut for 6 for the Dodgers. And, that's been a trend over the last couple of years, and it's just tough to score. It's kind of a weird combo, because the Dodgers score more runs than any other team with 2 outs, but yet, they're not great hitting with runners in scoring position, which you would think those two would work together, but they absolutely have not. So, okay, the Dodgers 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. So another thing about that too, we'll circle back to the runners with scoring position here in a minute. I talk about it quite a bit. Get the lid off. Score that first run any way you can. I talk about it all the time. If you don't, you're liable to look up. It's already the 5th inning. It's already the 6th inning, and you still haven't scored. If I've seen that once, I've seen it 1,000 times. It happened to the Dodgers last night. They didn't get the lid off early in the game. Next thing you know, you're getting into the later half of the middle innings, and you still haven't scored. And then I'm just telling you, that dugout, it just tenses up, and you can feel it, and you can cut it with the knife, and people are kind of looking around going, hey, what's going on, guys? We got to get it going. That kind of thing, which isn't necessarily a positive mind frame for a baseball player to be in. So did not get the lid off last night. Okay, 6 hits, 3 runs, scored in just 2 innings last night. Chris Taylor, okay, wanted to get into him, and I loved his home run to center field. If you watch Chris Taylor, he has what's called a negative bat angle, which means, there's horizontal bats and then there's vertical bats. Okay, Chris Taylor has a vertical bat, which meaning he has a negative bat angle, which means the barrel, he swings with the barrel below his hands, and he comes through like this. Whereas some hitters have horizontal bats and they come through flat like this. Chris Taylor comes with he is a vertical bat. Okay, this is a horizontal bat, that's a vertical bat. Chris Taylor is a vertical bat. When you have a vertical bat and then you also lift your hands, okay, boy, that your timing is going to have to be really deep, because what's going to happen is you're going to roll over a lot of ground balls. Now, if you hit the timing's perfect, it's going to go a long ways up in the air, and you're going to hit it really hard. Okay, but whenever you have a vertical bat and you lift your hands, which Chris Taylor does, both of those things, okay, then if your timing's early, you're going to have a lot of either swing and miss and or roll over ground balls, kind of like hitting hitting around the ball, hitting over the ball like you do with a tennis racket, trying to get top spin on it. So I say that to say this, with that vertical bat angle, okay, with the lift that he has in his hands, okay, he has to let that ball get deeper because he has to hit the baseball in a position in his swing before his hands lift. Okay, and so to do that, if he thinks up the middle, he's going to let that ball get a little bit deeper, and he's actually going to hit the ball maybe right as his hands start to lift, or maybe a touch after his hands start to lift, and that's when he hits those really hard line drives, and then those doubles to right center, to left center, and then occasionally a home run to center field, and most importantly, that is when he is his most consistent because, like I said, he's hitting the ball either before he lifts the hands and or just right after he lifts his hands on that slight uptick, which is absolutely perfect because that's where all your home runs come from. We saw that last night. So Chris Taylor, that's why he needs to think center field at all times. His goal needs to be every single at bat to hit a hard line drive literally right over the pitcher's head every time he's at the plate. That'll back his timing up. That will have him, like I said, be hitting the baseball either right before he lifts or right after he lifts. Either case scenario, you're going to have either a low line drive on the back or a home run on the front like we saw last night. So Chris Taylor, I was really happy. That was a great sign for me to see that he hit that thing to center field. Not just the home run, but where he hit it. I was very happy to see that with Chris Taylor last night. Okay, let's back up to the runners with scoring, with runners in scoring position. The Dodgers were 0 for 6 last night. The Dodgers are the 6th worst in all of Major League Baseball in leaving runners in scoring position. Now, that's a double-edged sword, okay? To have that stat, that means you're getting a lot of runners on base. That's a good thing, but then also that means you're leaving a lot of runners on base. That's a bad thing. So it's a good and a bad thing, but I think when you throw it all into the wash, I think ultimately that ends up being more of a bad thing than a good thing, especially when you're 0 for 6 like you were last night with runners in scoring position. So again, Dodgers are the 6th worst in Major League Baseball in leaving runners in scoring position. They average leaving 3.67, almost 4 runners a game in scoring position every single game they play. Okay, that's 1 run right there. Four bases, that's 1 run. And scoring position, if you get a hit, let's say that you didn't have those 4 left on, that's 4 more runs a game. Let's say that you just go half at that, that's 2 more runs a game. Well, what would your record be if you just cut that in half? You might have won maybe 3, 4, 5 more games to this point, and not been worried about last night quite as much. Although hey, you got to take every day and just move on to the next, as I always say. Okay, the last 3 games, the Dodgers have averaged leaving 4 runners in scoring position. Okay, and only 10 teams have left more in baseball during that span. So the last 4 games, they've been a little bit above their average, and they have been one of the 10 worst teams as far as leaving runners in scoring position, which, again, it's good that you're getting runners on, not good that you are leaving them on the bases when you have a chance to score them when they're in scoring position. You had the 1 error by Michaelbusch playing third base, so defense all in all has been good for the Dodgers, especially lately. And then, like I said, the Sunday night factor, we're not going to get back into that. I had plenty of rant for that, but hey, those are all my thoughts of yesterday's game. I probably feel better about it. And like I always say, hey, can't make too much out of it. And, get your frustrations out, move on, and let's play the next day, which the Dodgers have to do tonight in Milwaukee, so it ought to be fun. Although the AAA Oklahoma City Dodgers gave up 11 runs yesterday, there was some exciting news on the pitching front that we will get to here in a minute. But the AAA Oklahoma City Dodgers did lose 11-7 yesterday in the series finale against the El Paso Chihuahuas, the AAA affiliates of the San Diego Padres. I apologize for a little bit of the fuzzy feed here. Sometimes it comes in and out on the minor league feeds, and there's really not a whole lot I can do about that. But, hey, the Oklahoma City Dodgers, they did pound out 7 runs on the afternoon. They scored 4 in the first inning, so they took a 4-0 lead in the top of the first inning. They scored 1 in the third, so they had a 5. And the game actually was tied 5-5 after 3 innings. The Oklahoma City Dodgers, they tacked on 2 in the 5th, gave up 2 in the bottom of the 5th, so at that point it was 7-7, and then the El Paso Chihuahuas scored 4 runs from that point on to win 11-7. Robbie Erlin, it was a tough outing for him. He went 3 1/3 inning. He gave up 11 hits and 9 earned runs. His ERA on the year now is 8.63. Mark Washington came in, gave up a couple of runs in an inning and 2/3. Hey, and the exciting news, we're going to get to it a little bit more in a minute, but Andrejackson, 2 innings pitched. He had 2 strikeouts, gave up just 1 hit, no runs scored, and Alexvesia. There's the other exciting pitching news as far as the AAA Oklahoma City Dodgers. He pitched yesterday, Alexvesia did, and he pitched a scoreless inning for them. Okay, so who you're seeing right here is Ryan Ward, and Ryan Ward had 3 hits on the day, the young man out of Millbury, Massachusetts. And I'll tell you what, the thing about him, he is a slugger, but if you look at this, he hit a bunch of home runs last year, and he was in the league, lead much of the year last year as far as leading the entire system in home runs until he got hurt there in late August. He was actually the player of the week in late August, and then got hurt and was put on the IL for a couple of weeks and just really never got the momentum back towards the end of the season. But as you can see right here, he is way more than a slugger. He hits the ball up the middle. He hits the ball the other way. This is a young man that last year was probably going to hit somewhere close to 300 and hit about 32, 33, 34 home runs. That's why he got promoted to AAA Oklahoma City over some other candidates, because this guy's hit tool is very, very, very good when he stays back up the box like that. As a matter of fact, he only struck out 1 time his senior year there at Millbury, Massachusetts, with a graduating class of less than 100 kids. I love telling that story. And he hit over 400 for a season at Bryant, the only Bryant Bulldog to ever do that. And the year after that, he hit 386. So this guy, Ryan Ward, can hit for average. He can hit for power. Devinmann had 2 hits yesterday for AAA Oklahoma City, including a home run. That was an absolute bomb. Look at that. Wow. When he hits a home run, he's kind of like Joseramos and some of the other guys. It's the perfect launch angle, and it's just that high moonshot. It looks like he hit it with a tennis racket because it has that bounce effect, and they are just absolutely beautiful home runs to watch. So Devinmann, the young man out of Indiana originally, and then the University of Louisville, which has been very, very good for the Dodgers over the years. Devinmann, he had a home run, and he also had, I'm going to rewind this so you can see it again, he also had his league-leading 19th double. It's just amazing, Devinmann, how many doubles he's hit this year. Just check this out, okay? This ought to give you the perspective of how many doubles he's hit. The next closest guy is Matthew Batten from El Paso on the team the Dodgers played this past week, and he only has 12. So Devinmann has 7 more doubles than anybody else in the Pacific Coast League. We talked about all of the AAA Oklahoma City Dodgers gave up 11 runs. There was exciting pitching news. One from Andrejackson. Let me say this about Andre. He has the really good changeup. He has had some up and down times the last couple of years. I think that's pretty easy to say. I don't think that's negative. I think that's just kind of realistic, and I'm getting to that to say this, which is a super compliment about him. One thing you can say about Andrejackson is that he is absolutely a fighter. I'm just telling you, this young man will fight, and as long as you keep giving him chances, he will always find a way to get his head back above water. So I'm just telling you, this guy right here, Andrejackson, he'll get above water again. He will resurface. He'll find himself again at AAA Oklahoma City, and then all of a sudden here, before too long, he'll resurface. I am super, super confident. Matter of fact, I have no doubt about that. One of the best relief pitchers in the game last year, certainly one of the best left-handed relief pitchers, alexvesia, went back down to AAA Oklahoma City to re-identify himself. You know, I talk about this all the time. One of the great things about the minor leagues is you get to take a guy like Alexvesia, who, you know, has been struggling at the major league level, and you take him down to AAA, and you remove the results aspect of it. You know, guys are competitive enough. They're going to want the good results anyways. I mean, competitive people can't play marbles without wanting to win, that kind of thing. But having said that, you get to kind of go back and really analyze the data and the analysis of, okay, what has always made me good in the past? What do I need to get back to get to being the pitcher that I was last year. Then in AAA, you can just start working on that process every day. Hey, well, it was this pitch, or it was this sequence, or it was this type of location that I'm not hitting this year. Or sometimes you just realize, hey, it's just been bad luck. But that's what I love about the minor leagues. I saw it with Austin Barnes. I saw it with Gavin Lux. We've seen it with Max Muncy from time to time, where guys get to come back down, they get to work on their process, and they get to rediscover what's always made them great. Let's hope that alexvesia is in that process right now. Now, the Tulsa Drillers had a really good series yesterday. Went not their way. They lost 5-4 to the San Antonio Missions, which is the AA affiliate of the Padres. But there was some good action. Again, 5 runs, not too bad. Andy Paez had a hit. Joseramos had 2 hits we're going to talk about. Eddysleonard, who you're seeing on your screen right now, had a couple of hits, including a home run. Cody Hosey had another hit, so welcome back, Cody Hosey. Kyle Hurt, he has been so fantastic on the year. Matter of fact, his ERA is 1.69 on this young season. Yesterday was a little bit of a struggle for him. He gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs and 3 1/3 innings. And then Alecgamboa, how about Alecgamboa? He has been pitching just fantastic lately. He came in through 2 1/3 scoreless innings and had 2 strikeouts, just 1 walk. Tanner Dodson, Ryan Sublette, Trevor Betancourt all had 1 inning apiece and went scoreless as well. But the Tulsa Drillers, in the end, they lost 5-4. Who you're looking at right here is eddysleonard. Hey, I've talked about Eddie's. He's on the 40-man, very talented. He's that smooth infielder at shortstop. Never seems like he's in too big of a hurry because he's so smooth. He makes it look easy. He got off to a slow start offensively. I mentioned, hey, he's starting to heat up. And once he heats up, hopefully he stays hot. Well, he has stayed hot at least through this series. He had 2 hits yesterday for Tulsa, and including the hit that you saw right here, his second home run of 2023. Leonard is 4 for his last 8, and he was 10 for 20 in the series this last week against San Antonio. I always talk about Joseramos, and his home runs are always usually majestic. This was one of those that kind of had topspin on it, and it was hooking, and it was just one of those absolute rockets, one of those line drive type rockets that were hit just so hard. Joseramos, this was home run number 7 for him, and he had a 2-hit day for AA Tulsa. Ramos has had hits in 4 out of his last 6 games. I should say he had hits in 4 of the 6 games in the series against San Antonio. And he also had 3 home runs in this last series in the last 6 games and 14 total bases. So Joseramos continues to play great offense for AA Tulsa. Alecgamboa was a 3-sport star at Madera High School there in the Fresno area, Madera, California. And if you talk to people from the Central Valley, they will say, hey, he might be the best 3-sport star that area literally has ever produced. He was a great kind of H-back type receiver, type running back on the football gridiron. And he was an all-state wrestler. I know he still follows wrestling pretty close. The freestyle season is right now. He likes that. And the Greco, then obviously the Olympic-style wrestling that the high schools wrestle with. Alecgamboa was a ridiculously good wrestler. He was a ridiculously good football player, and then obviously a very good left-handed pitcher. He went to Fresno State out of high school, and he went to Fresno State, and then that summer after his freshman year, he was kind of having soreness in his left arm, and he just kept kind of to plod through it. He went and played in summer, and then come to find out he didn't have a scholarship waiting on him when he came back to Fresno State. He'd already had an apartment. He'd already had done everything. He thought about, hey, what do I do here? Do I play and pay my own way? So guess what he did? He went across town to Fresno Community College. He played with former Oklahoma State Cowboy Christian Funk. Old Funky boy, he could hit that left-handed stroke. Played first base his first year there at OSU because he had the bad knees, then transitioned to third base. So Gamboa goes to Fresno Community College, and he has a really good career there. He gets drafted, and he is so thankful for all the people there at Fresno Community College. Hey, to start this year, not going to sugarcoat it, he struggled to throw strikes on a couple of occasions. Slow start for him. The last 3 outings have been just absolutely fantastic. He went 2.1 innings scoreless yesterday. He struck out 2, and he had 6 strikeouts, or he has 6 strikeouts in his last 2 outings, and he has not allowed a run in his last 3. So, hey, great job, Alecgamboa. The Great Lakes Loons just keep winning. They won 9-6 yesterday. They scored 1 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the fourth, and 5 in the sixth to win 9-6 over the River Bandits, the Quad City River Bandits on the bump for the Great Lakes Loons. Ben Kasparius, he has been really good this year. 2.86 ERA on the season. He had 9 strikeouts in 5 innings yesterday. He went 5.0. He gave up 2 earned runs on 4 hits. Michael Hobbs came in and had a scoreless inning. Juan Murillo, he came in and got 1 out. And then Jack Dreyer and Jake Pilarski finished. Dreyer went 1 2/3 innings scoreless. And then Jake Pilarski came in and got his Midwest League leading 9th save in the bottom of the 9th inning to continue his great work on the season. Who you're seeing right here is Austin Gauthier. Look, he loves baseball. He loves playing baseball. He just enjoys doing it. Had a chance to talk to him over the offseason. That was a lot of fun. Another huge day for him. Austin Gauthier, the young man that hits the ball the opposite field more than he pulls the ball. He has an average of 429 on the year. Let that be an example right there, right up the middle. Let that be an example to young hitters out there. If you use the big part of the field, yeah, hey, maybe that's not where your home runs are at, but that is where all the base hits and doubles are at. Just look at Austin Gauthier, 429 on the year with his 3 hits yesterday. Gauthier now has 10 multi-hit games on the year, and he has at least 3 hits in a game on 5 different occasions. Austin Gauthier, what a start. Yeinerfernandez had 4 hits yesterday for Great Lakes, including his 3rd home run, and he's hitting .321 on the year. Yeinerfernandez is 6th for his last 10. I talk about it between him, Gauthier, Tayloryoung. You talk about a bunch of just scrappy dudes that know just so much about the game of baseball. Tough out, stay inside the ball. We saw Austin Gauthier use the big part of the field a minute ago and go right up the middle. Same with Yeinerfernandez, Hey, stay in the ball, inside the ball, stay short, and just make hard contact somewhere. Don't worry about the launch angle as far as how it comes off the bat. Just worry about hitting it hard and hit a line drive somewhere. That's how the Loons play baseball. That's why they have won so many games, and that's why they're so difficult to pitch to. Yeinerfernandez, another big day yesterday. Continuing on the scrappy train, there is nobody scrappier than Tayloryoung. He had another multi-hit game. He is 4 for his last 9. You talk about guys, hey, how about Austin Gauthier, Yeinerfernandez, Tayloryoung, back to back to back. That is a pitcher's nightmare because those are guys that doesn't matter what type of pitch you throw. Look, you can pull and with that breaking ball, sometimes you pull it because it's hanging right there for you. You go the other way with it, you use the big part of the field, you stay inside the ball, you worry about making hard contact. So, hey, Tayloryoung, he had another multi-hit game yesterday for the Loons. 2nd multi-hit game in a row. And if you ask the people back in Louisiana Tech, the fans of the Dogs, they'll tell you he's just getting started. The 101 Express is what I like to call him because he can reach 101, sometimes 102. Jake Pilarski got his Midwest League leading 9th save of the year yesterday, and that secured the 5th win of the series for Great Lakes. They've actually had 2 series in a row where they've won 5 out of 6. Like I said, they've been playing great baseball as of late. Pilarski has an ERA of .071 on the year, a whip of 103, and an average against of 156. I have no inside information whatsoever, but I do not think Jake Pilarski will be in High A Great Lakes for much longer. The Rancho Cucamonga Quakes finished off their series with Lake Elsinore in style yesterday with a 4-3 victory. You were seeing Dayton Dooney, who was picked up by the Dodgers in April in free agency. He had a good day yesterday with a couple of hits. Well, the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes scored a bunch of runs yesterday. They scored 9, but they gave up 10. So, hey, it's like if you make $1 million a year, but if you're spending $1.1 million, you're still in debt right there, right? So, hey, the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, they finished in debt yesterday. They scored 9, but they gave up 10. But it was a good offensive day. Nick Biddison had 2 hits on the day. Jesus Calise had a multi-hit day as well. And Dayton Dooney, who you're seeing right here, had 3 hits on the day as well. Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, they've had a really good year so far. They're now 19-8 on the season. So there you have it. There's our show for you today. Again, I told you it was a busy show, a lot of action yesterday. Everybody was in action yesterday. The big win for the Los Angeles Dodgers at the top. That's always the big one. So, hey, It was a great day. The Dodgers, they won 2 out of 3 for the Padres, so I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you tune in tomorrow as well. Hey, fans, just a reminder, if you like this kind of video and if you like this kind of content, go ahead and click that like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily, become a subscriber. After you subscribe, turn on your notifications. That way, every time Dodgers Daily releases a new video, you'll be notified and you won't miss a thing, and we can keep providing you content like this in the future, as we love to do. Also, if you'd like to help Dodgers Daily by donating, just follow the link. We now have a GoFundMe account. Just click that link, and it'll tell you all you need to do to donate to Dodgers Daily through the GoFundMe account if you'd like to do that as well. As always, hey, thanks for tuning in, and go Dodgers.